Hello, good afternoon, guys. Welcome to MK Community Brokerage. My name is Mohammed, and I will be your host for today's video. Now, today I'm going to be talking about the Educating All Student exam. Basically, this is one of the teaching certification exam that New York City teachers have to take. So this is going to be a practice exam, and I'm going to go over some of the questions. I'm not going to go over every part of the questions since the lack of time. The video will become way too long. I'm going to go over certain things. I'm going to explain to you what the questions are, how it is, and what the whole process is. So basically, you have about 135 minutes to complete the entire test. The test consists of the multiple choice questions and also a short response. The 70% of the test is based on the multiple choice exam questions, which means that if you get the multiple choice questions correct, you actually pass the exam. Don't spend too much time on the written response questions. The more time you spend on the written response questions, the better, the more likely that your chances are going to fall apart. Like I said again, 70% plus 30% is a big difference. Obviously, don't if you're gonna write something in the written response, do it quick. Obviously, make sure you do. You read through the passage. You write the passage, and if you don't, come back afterwards. If once you finish the multiple choice exam and you have enough time to basically add or delete or whatever. Spending too much time on that will actually cause you to lose your time. Even it looks like a lot of time, but the passages are quite long, and you don't want to spend too much time on the written response part where you could have actually took a little bit more time on the multiple choice exam. So there's going to be sample test questions such as this one. So this is from the diverse student population. They're going to give you a class description. They'll tell you by, for example, this one they're going to talk about, Miss Finnegan is a new 6th grade English language arts teacher whose class includes 34 students with diverse characteristics and needs. So again, there's gonna be like at least 3 to 4 parts. So one of the parts is gonna have diverse student population. So it's gonna talk about students with different backgrounds, such as different countries, such as Pakistan, England, India, Russia, China. So that's gonna be diverse student, and they have a little bit different levels of classrooms, different levels of studying in the same classroom. Like some students will be a little bit ahead of level, some students in the medium level, some students will be advanced learners. So it depends on whatever that is. So they give you a sample passage such as this one, and they're gonna give you at least 3 exhibits. So basically, this is from her Miss Finnegan's journal. She talks about different 3 students. What they're probably gonna pick 1 or 2 students in the passage. They're gonna talk about their strengths and weaknesses, and then they're gonna be exhibit number 3 from the lesson plan, which is going to be topic was facts and opinions. Distinguish between facts, opinion, and reasonable judgment in a text. So basically, the teacher's teaching a lesson on this, and now you have 3 exhibits. Once you do the 3 exhibits, you're gonna have questions. For example, I'll read the first question. It's gonna say the pattern of interaction in Miss Finnegan's class suggests that students would benefit the most from which of the following instructional approaches. Now, obviously, there's 4 questions over here. You have to see which one is the best answer. If you are good in the multiple choice exam questions, then you will do good in the test. This test is not based on how much you know. All the answers, as you can see from here, are listed in the passage. So you have to read the passage carefully. Now, don't spend too much time on the passage. Obviously, not every part of the passage is going to be used for in the exam. Just read through the most important part, which should be useful. So, for example, in this question, the answer is going to be adopting heterogeneous grouping practices to promote shared goals and mutual learning experience. What that means is, since you have a diverse student population in your classroom, you want to provide learning practices where all of them could actually have the same goals rather than separating them. Again, question number 2. Which of the following statements describe the most likely explanation for students' lack of engagement with the main idea activity on September 7th? Now, this question is based on this. On September 7th, the teacher talks about today I introduced a large group lesson on identifying main ideas and supporting details. For the lesson, I chose 2 relatively brief informational passages. One passage was about the United States economy, and the other passage was about the United States legislative system. So when we read the passage together, students had questions about the content. In the course of addressing these questions, I could send students' attention to the lesson slipping away. Now, reading through the question, which of the following statement describes the most likely explanation for students to be slipping away from the main ideas on September 7th. Now you have to read through the questions what the answer is. Is it the use of the passage made the activity too long to hold students' attention? B. The students refer preferred reading literacy passage to reading informational passage. C. The teacher did not incorporate students' prior knowledge in providing other appropriate scaffolding. D. The topics of the passage were too similar and provided little variety to stimulate students' thinking. Now, as a teacher, or as a student teacher, or as a person that's planning to become a teacher in this field, you should know the answer should be which one? C. Why? Because if the students are slipping away the topic, they're not thinking about it. It must be the prior knowledge, because they probably not know about the topic. And research does show that having students, if knowing something about the topic, having prior knowledge will actually make them more interested in that topic compared to not knowing about it and just talking about it. Again, these are another 3 to 4 questions, as you can see. Then you're gonna have something called use the exhibit to complete the task that follows. So basically, every passage is gonna have 4 to 5 questions. Most of the time it's 4, but you might get a bonus 5 for some odd reason that might happen. But 4 questions are the most. And then you're gonna have a passage. Now the passage is going to be, I'm going to read through the part of the passage. Use the exhibits to complete the task that follows. After analyzing the information provided, write a response of approximately 150 to 200 words in which you identify one issue related to student diversity that Ms. Finnegan should address in her instructional planning related to this lesson. Describe one strategy that Ms. Finnegan could use to address the issue you identified, and explain why the strategy you described will be effective in facilitating student learning. Now, these 3 parts over here are very important. The reason I mentioned that because these 3 parts are the bulk of the passage that they ask. Don't go off topic. Go one by one. And try to be between 150 to 200 words. You don't want a whole passage on a book about it. You just want it between 150 to 200 words. They want to make it simple and make it sweet. These 3 parts are basically saying, do you understand what the passage was about? And if you do, talk about it, what the whole plan is, what the benefit is, what's going on, how you describe your strategy. So, for example, identify one issue related to student diversity that Ms. Finnegan should address in her instruction plan. So you say, one issue related to diversity that Ms. Finnegan should address in her instruction planning related to this lesson is, and then you talk about it, and they did the same thing. One issue related to diversity that Ms. Finnegan should address in planning the lesson on facts and opinion is that students, depending on their background or gender, may or may not be familiar with the topic professional basketball. Now, as you can see, this person picked the part. Now, you could pick any part that you feel like there was an issue relating to the diversity lesson, obviously if you read the passage. Now, you describe your strategy, how it could use to basically benefit it, and how your strategy will be the most effective. Obviously, basically what you're doing, you're bashing Miss Finnegan's idea, how your strategy will be effective, and how it could be better than her assignment, what she's doing. That's what they basically want. As you can see over here, Miss Finnegan could address the issue allowing students to choose from text written on several different topics. As you can see, describe one strategy Miss Finnegan could use to address the issue you identified. Now, you identified her issue, and and explaining the strategy you described will be effective in facilitating students' learning. So basically, saying that the issue that you picked on, how it could benefit it, and how it's going to be beneficial if you plan to implement the lesson. Basically, that's what this is about. This competency number 2 is going to be English language learner. The first one was about diversity. Second one is going to be English language learners. Again, Exhibit 1, they're going to give you a passage. Exhibit 2, there's going to be an assessment data. And obviously, you're always going to have a lesson plan in Exhibit number 3. Again, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 questions related to these. In planning instruction to Valeria, Ms. Flynn has a professional response to focus his or effort on. Now, again, you choose the answer, whichever the answer is. Again, read the questions. I'm going to do this. If you guys are planning to pause the video and read through it, you could do that as well. Again, you get these 4 questions and then talk about it. And obviously, you could go online as well if you guys are planning to have a practice lesson. I'm just here to explain to you a little bit more on the test and how it basically works. But as you can see, these are the 4 questions. Again, they're going to have another essay on basically on this. Again, same exact thing. Identify a specific learning need for Valeria. Describe a strategy for different instruction related to this lesson to address the need that you identified, and explain why the strategy described will be effective in addressing the identified learner's need. Again, sample response. As you can see, it's a good sample response. Short, to the point. Once you finish this, obviously you go to another part, which is the students with disability and other special learning needs. As you can see, there's 3 different topics: diversity, ESL, now students with disability and other special learning needs. We talk about this as well. Again, they give you the Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, and Exhibit 3. Once you do that part, again, 4 questions on this part as well. Once you do these 4 questions, again, there's going to be another part of the essay where you have to write the response. You do this, then it's going to be multiple questions in different part. This is the competency number 4, teacher's responsibility. You're gonna get certain questions for this. This is basically based on a little bit on learning objectives. The essay parts and obviously those are not based on how much you know. Well, that helps as well, obviously, in a classroom setting, but it's mostly on if you pay attention to the essay and what the question is really asking for. This is based on a little bit on teaching responsibilities and what do you think the most answer is. You have to have a little bit prior knowledge on this part, and otherwise you will have a little bit tough time on this part as well. School-home relationship, again, you're going to have 1 question on that, and basically you might have a little bit more question, but these are just sample questions they give you. Keep this in mind, it is a long test, guys. These are just sample questions, obviously, over here, but if you're planning to take the real exam, I highly recommend buying a practice exam with the Educating All Student test with the NYSTCE, the New York State Teaching Certification Exam, also known as. You buy the course with them. I think it's like $30 if I'm correct. I don't remember the price. It's something like that. Basically, it's like a mock exam. Not this. This is just a sample. So what you're looking at right now is just a sample question. The real one is the mock exam. You pay a fee and you do a mock exam. Go by there. I highly recommend learning a little bit about the Educating All Student exam. Learning some philosophical people like John Piaget and everyone else. It really helps you, give you a little bit of depth of knowledge. The test is not that bad, but as long as you do your study, as long as you know what you're doing, and if you're good at the multiple choice exam questions, you should be fine. Again, concentrate on the multiple choice exam question. If you don't know one question, just skip it, go to the next one. For example, I'll give you another example. If you don't know what the question number 3 the answer is, skip it for now. Or just obviously circle it and have a highlight next to it saying that I will come back if I have enough time. Don't leave a question blank. A blank question is not going to give you any points. Having a guess gives you at least a 50-50 chance you might get it right. Obviously, process elimination also helps. Keep this in mind. You don't want to use process elimination if you don't even know what the answer is. Like, if, for example, for this part, number 3, you know it's B, but guess what? You think this is the wrong answer. You just crossed it out and everything. Now you basically going to choose one of the wrong answers again. Make sure the answers you crossed out, you know 100% if it is not right. That's where you should cross out the answer. But otherwise, you should have a good experience if you're a good test taker and you obviously practice a little bit more on it. The more practice you do, the better you become, and the better you're on. If you're on the field, you should on the test taking day, and you should be better off. With that being said, that's about it. Obviously, when you take the exam, obviously when you register to take the exam to one of the Pearson Test Application Center. Make sure you bring your valid ID. Make sure you go to the right time. Always go there at least 15 to 20 minutes early. You could always go there even half an hour early. If they have seats available, you could just sit in. It should never be a problem that they should tell you to leave. If you have enough time to go there, you should be able to get there. It's never a problem. But once you're there, it shouldn't be a hard time. Sorry. It shouldn't be a hard time to get there, and obviously they give you like telling you that, oh no you can't come in because you're 20 minutes or half an hour early. They most likely will make you come in and they have a seat and you can take the test a little bit early if that's what you want. But make sure you are early rather than coming late, because that might be a problematic. Otherwise, make sure you eat healthy. If you're not a morning person, the test you could take in the afternoon as well. You can take in the afternoon. Some test center locations have tests like around 5 o'clock as well. Some have it in the morning. Again, it depends on what type of person you are. You want an early morning test, you could do it. If you're not a morning person, obviously for whatever reason, and you want to take in the afternoon, you may do so as well. As long as you're going to be doing good in the test, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Make sure you don't drink a lot of liquid. This is the test where you can't really pause it. If you move from the location and use the bathroom, obviously that will, the time will still count. But if you want to 5 minutes break, you may use the bathroom. Take water, rinse your face. If you're feeling a little bit stressed, Don't worry about it. Even if you don't pass, it's not the end of the world. You can take this test as many times as you want. It's not like it's not like the bar exam where you take the test and if you don't pass and then you have a certain amount of days you have to wait to take the test again. Just don't worry about it. Take the test again whenever you can. Obviously, it's not the end of the world, but keep on taking it until you pass. That's all I recommend. With that being said, that's about it. Thank you again, guys, for watching this video. Hopefully, I did help whatever way I help. I just wanted to share some of the experience, some of my knowledge with you guys about this. A lot of people might not know about the practice exam with educating all students with the New York State Teaching Certification Exam.com. I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit about this. Hopefully, you guys, I know I didn't go through every part of the question. My job was to make sure, give you a taste of what the exam is about and what type of question they might ask. As you can see, these are the 4 or 5 competencies that I've talked about during these things. They talk about the English language learner students. They talk about diversity students. They'll talk about teaching responsibilities. All these things. A teacher should know most part of it if you plan to teach the classroom. It does help you if you have somewhat ideas what's going on. With that being said, that's about it. Thank you again, guys, for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any other questions, comment, concern, please comment, like, subscribe. I'll try my best on my part to help you out as much as possible to clarify any confusion you guys have. Thank you again, guys, for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you.